Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday, it's November 5th. This is going to wrap us up for the week. I'm feeling a little better today, but I'm still not 100%, so I'm going to probably move through this pretty quickly again, um, and call it a week, and hopefully by next Monday I'll be back to 100%. I'm hoping so anyway. But let me back out here. Well, before I back out, you can see we started off, it looked more rangy really, but this is definitely a channel working up. It may be just a two-tiered channel with a big overshoot, but needless to say, we broke through here and we never made a new high. Um, but that's because the bigger pattern was this larger down sloping two-tiered trend. But you can see it's not much of a downtrend, so it's more of a range type day. Um, you could just about treat this as a range. And but the channels here, the shorter term trend channels are here, and everything played out uh, fairly well today. Um, anyway, it had a slight upward bias. It felt like early, and then after that, it was kind of a downward bias here. There weren't a lot of opportunities to enter this one. You got a couple opportunities on the way back, and then it just not much happened after that. But hopefully you saw the bigger. You didn't really find this until it turned down right here. Uh, that's when I drew that line, and it didn't come back to it till after 2 o'clock. Uh, but it was easy to draw that line and drag it down, and then get your equal distance and know exactly where you were going to bounce down here. So, um, and it's a long way back up to here, so you can ride this trend back until you got the break right here. You did have a second entry long. It worked here. It's not a great setup. It worked, and then it still turned down. So I like going short there because you could treat that like a failure. But let's back out and talk about the trades, and we'll talk about that when we get there. When we get out where we can see it a little better. There's what I'm looking for. I might have went too far out. Let's back up just a hair. All right, as you can see, this is kind of up and down right here. Definitely range type. Whenever you're swinging to both sides of the EMA, you can generally trade both sides. It's got a little bit of an upward bias to it right now. But once it turned down from here, it's all downhill. And, it didn't check up really at all. There's a couple things I would have looked for. Once we started lower from there, assuming we get through this trend line, you want to look for a measured move, and you can see we went a little further than that. But then once we made this big move down, when we started down again, I would be looking for another possible measurement. We didn't quite get it because uh, the measured move was right here for the channel, so we didn't quite get that. But that gets you really, really close, and that would have maybe kept you in that trade a little bit longer. And then we reversed. And then we headed right back up to the upper side again. We didn't quite get there, and then we corrected. We had the break here, and we ended up coming back up to it and touching it here. Um, but let's talk about the trades. This was a nice channel working up. This is the first break of this channel. But look how far away we are from the EMA, and it broke higher right there and then turned and went right out the other side. I'm sorry, excuse me. As soon as I start trying to talk, my throat starts bothering me, so I'm probably going to be struggling to get through this again. But we broke out the top turn and instantly went out the bottom. I like going short there with a stop. It's a little bit aggressive, but we're so far away from the EMA that the odds are really, and that's a big bearish bar. I don't think I would go short right below that bar. Um, I would wait on it to break there and then drop a limit order back up here somewhere and try to get a little bit, because that's a huge bar, and there's still plenty of room to get back to the EMA, but that's just too big a bar in my opinion to go short right below it. And but this turns out to be a good trade. It shoots right on through the EMA, and then you get a failed second entry long that turns down. You're looking for a retest of this low. But more than anything, now you've got kind of like a reversal pattern. So you go short there, but you should have had this trend line drawn. Okay, I'm sorry, I got interrupted there. I think we were talking about this failed second entry long and second entry short. Um, this is not a great signal bar, but because it's a failed second entry long, it doesn't have to be. We're looking for a retest, and we're looking for prices to come back at least to this trend line. And you can see that it does, and it bounces, pulls back, gives you a second entry off a little higher low and a second entry, and creates a trend line. Then you get a failed second entry short and another chance to enter. I don't like entering here. I thought this should have taken on off by this time. It didn't. It comes back, but you got a pretty tight trend line. That's a first entry. There's not much room there. If you want to be real aggressive, you might consider that one. But I think you're better off just to let this one play out and ride this trade out. Turns out to be a pretty good trade. And then it turns down up here. Again, I like this one. One, it's right off the midline of this line. You draw your trend line here. You don't really have this line here. But again, you're so far away from the EMA, and you got a nice little bearish bar there. You haven't broken this trend line. But when it turns down here, that's telling you something's probably not right. You could assume it's maybe this EMA, but generally you're going to try to bounce off that a couple times to try to get through and then pull back to it. But it just turns down, and being that far away from the EMA again and haven't touched it since way back here on a kind of a what I call a range type day with prices swinging back and forth, this is generally a good trade. This one is very close to being a green bar, but I like it just simply because it's a nice bearish bar, and you got plenty of room back to the EMA, and it is kind of a range type day. And you know, you could say you've got some resistance right across here, and you go back, you can see we had some back over in here previously, and so you know, and this looks like you were finding some resistance there, and it looked like support there. So it's kind of one of those swing points, and you see we got a little resistance there, and it breaks through and turns down. Again, it's real borderline. It could be green, but if you don't take this one, you don't get in this trade. If you do take this one, you get rewarded really well. And if you drew this line and drug it down, it fits really well here. And so that gives you, of course, you probably wouldn't have drawn that and drug it down quick enough to be able to decide if you want to get in that trade or not, because it dropped really fast there and just takes off. So you may not even got in that trade if you wanted to, because it did take off really fast, and it just shoots on that. It's riding this trend line all the way down. There's no entry here to go long, so it doesn't matter. It just keeps coming down. You know, it's tempting to go short here, but that's right into it's right into this area right here. But then you get a little breakout pullback short right here, and that's the first break of the trend line. There's really two legs up, and that's a nice little bearish reversal bar. So, and you're going to look for prices to retest this low, and you got plenty of room there, and it just takes off. And like I said, you want to look for a measured move similar to this move from here down, and you get real close to that. And it just takes on off. There's a second entry short here, but you've already had a break of this little channel, this tight channel, and two legs down, so I don't think you want to risk it. If you waited on this bar and waited on a break and then dropped a limit order back up here, maybe, but I just don't think you want to risk this trade at all. I think you're better off just to wait. You should have been looking for your measured move down here. You've got enough room there. I guess if you looked at it that way, maybe I'd mark it green, but I think you're better off to wait for something different. But what I would say for a little bit, because we don't have a measured move and because we don't have an equal distance move down to the lower trend channel line, and this is a big bearish bar, you might wait on that break and then drop a limit order or a tick or two back in here and then try to get out before you get down to this low. But it pushes on by, and you definitely don't want to go short here. Those are all stacked up. And the reason these are stacked up is that there's still people trying to get short that have missed most all of this, and they probably don't know that there's key support area working down from this measured move, and so they're thinking short. And this is where you want to be thinking long. And this is, I marked this one green. There's a failed second entry short right here. It's really a double trap because it looks like a failed second entry long, but you don't want to go short right into that for any reason, especially when they're more sideways like that. So this is like a little failed break lower. It's a double bottom really across there, and that's a fairly bullish bar. It's not a real bullish one. This one's definitely a little more bullish, but you don't want to get back in that close to the EMA just in case. So you got to enter down here, and what you might do is look what happens. It breaks up higher, and that's your trigger. Wait for the trigger and then drop a limit order in rather than just going with a stop. But you really could have used a stop there if you're trying to be aggressive. There's enough room to get out. It pushes through the EMA and tries to go lower twice. Bounces right off those first few swings there. And this is a failed second entry short. So even though that's not a perfect signal bar, it's close enough. It doesn't really matter since it's a failed second entry short. That's your reversal pattern. Look at it go. And then it pulls back here. This is more of a neutral bar. I don't have it across here, but look at the support. We've tested it several times, coming right across there. And you get a little failed break lower. It confirms this trend line. That's the third touch. Turns up. I like going long there. Plus, it's a little trap because it ticked lower than these three. And I guarantee you a lot of shorts got trapped in right there. And look at it go. And this thing actually must have trapped a lot of people because it shoots right through that trend line. And for a minute there, I thought maybe this was going to be a midline, and there's another line up here, but we never get up there. We get back inside here. We overshoot it again. And there's a failed second entry short there, but you don't want to get short right. You don't want to get long right into these highs here with all that resistance. But when it makes another, let me move this so you can see it, but when it makes another little attempt to go down, it gives you this nice bullish bar. Go long right there, and you really could almost add on right there. It gets a little bit close to those highs, but you figure we're probably going here. That's what I'm looking for. So I don't have a problem with adding on right there, to be honest with you. So I'm going to give it a circle too. That's one of those ones, if you entered here, you add on. If you didn't enter, I'd probably enter here for sure if I didn't enter on this one. And then we turn down here. We just kind of shoot right through. We get the break. Get a first entry, pull back. There's a second entry. I wouldn't use this for a signal bar. I like this one right here. I really don't like going long here because there's no break of this one yet, but you are looking for a retest of this one. So you're kind of in between two patterns here, and this one's probably the bigger pattern. So you might be thinking long here. Notice what happened. It went lower and then turned and went out the high side. If you want to be a little more aggressive, I'm okay with that because it is a failed second entry short. We are looking for a retest. We are looking for prices to come back to the upper trend line, the key entry points. So, but I'm going to make that one green. And you see what happens. It doesn't fail. You get a scalp out of it, but it doesn't go any higher, and then it turns down. I definitely like going short there because you're looking for a retest of this low. And this thing shoots way on down, just keeps going. Then you get your break. Notice how it's just kind of going sideways there, and that takes you into the 2 o'clock hour. You don't want to enter in that. So this is just garbage right here. And this is where you'll get chopped up. The market just has no direction right there is what it is. It doesn't want to go up, really. But at the same time, it doesn't want to go down. But the rules went out in the end because what do the rules tell us is probably going to happen? We just came off the low of the two-tier channel, so we're probably going to the high. So even though we didn't get here, look what ends up happening. It runs up there, and then it starts back down again. So the rules went out, and that's why we follow those rules. And they're not 100%. Nothing in trading is ever written in stone. But if you follow the rules and trade the way we teach you to trade, you're going to win more than you're going to lose. But for whatever reason, people can't always follow the rules, and that's one thing about day trading is that you have to be very disciplined and you have to be very patient. If you aren't disciplined and you aren't patient, you're going to struggle. You're going to make mistakes. And even if you are disciplined and patient, you're still going to make mistakes as you learn this. It takes a while to learn. It's like learning a non-native foreign language, and you got to immerse yourself in it and get experience. You may know the words and you may know you know basic greetings and sayings, but it doesn't mean you can go out there and use it and converse and get by on your own without a translator. And trading's the same way. You may know the patterns, you may understand the basics of what we're doing, but until you immerse yourself in this every day and get a lot of experience, you're going to still mess up, and you're still going to and once you make one mistake, it generally leads to a bunch of others. And that's why I always tell people, if you're having a bad day, if your first trade or two is not a good one, just get up and walk away, clear your mind, and come back, and you'll be shocked at how much clearer things will often be. And that's what I used to do. It worked for me. I still do that if that happens to me. I don't have those kind of days much anymore, but when I do, I get up and walk away, and I come back with a different, and suddenly it looks totally different, and you see your mistake, and you recover from it. But if you sit there and you get mad and you try to get even, you're just going to lose more money most likely. So didn't mean to get off on that tangent. This is really just a range day in the end with a downward bias, and you can really trade this thing. There were more trades up than there were down, to be honest with you. We had a big move down right here, but you didn't get a lot of chances to enter it. And then you had a fairly nice move up, which gave you some trades. You didn't get the big runs like you got over here, but you still got a chance to get in them. So pretty good trading day. We're still hovering right around that 2100 area, up and down around it. So I don't know if that'll change, or we'll just hang out here for a little bit. And these century marks are emotional places that we tend to test a lot. So will we head back to 2200 again? I don't know, but we bounced to 2100 pretty quickly. My guess is we'll probably hover around this area up and down both sides of it for a little bit, and then it'll decide if it's going to go higher or go lower. So, but I'm going to wrap it up. This is going to wrap it up for the week. Hopefully I'll be better next week. I'm a little better today, but I'm still, when I start talking, my throat starts bothering me, and I start hacking again. And so I've had to pause it a few times, and I apologize. But hopefully by Monday I'll be better. But I'm going to wrap it up for this week. We'll be back again to do it Monday. Hopefully I'll be better as well. But I hope you have a great weekend, and I'm going to wrap it up for today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.